Hey guys, this is our monthly staple video. This is our real estate market update for May 2025. We're gonna go over all the latest stats for the cities of Temecula, Murrieta, and Menifee, California, and then we're gonna compare those to a year ago and talk about how the market has changed or exactly what's going on. So let's go ahead and get into it. Hey guys, again, my name is Justin Short. I'm a realtor and team leader with the Short Real Estate team here in Temecula, California at Keller Williams. And this is our monthly staple video. We're gonna go over all the latest stats for the city of Temecula, Murrieta, and Menifee, California. But before we get into all the information, if you are liking real estate videos like this, please do me a favor, please hit like, please hit subscribe to the channel. Obviously it helps me and helps me as we continue to grow the channel. And then if you guys have any real estate questions, you can feel free to reach out anytime. So you're gonna see my information either down below or at the end. You can feel free to call, text, or email me. That's my personal cell phone. Happy to answer any questions you may have, help point you in the right direction, or of course, if myself and my team can help you with your real estate search, we'd love to help you with that as well. So cool, we'll get into all the stats. It's kind of the same setup as our typical video. So we're gonna compare this year's stats versus last year's. We'll start with the total number of new listings, and we'll start with the city of Temecula. So a year ago in the city of Temecula, there was a total of 184 new listings that went up on the market in May 2024. Okay, this year, over the past 30 days, we've seen a total of 176 new listings. So it's about the same, right? There's about 8 less new homes coming up on the market this year compared to a year ago. That's a 4% decline, pretty negligible. City of Murrieta, kind of same trend line. So a year ago, we saw a total of 194 new listings. This year, we're at 198. So there's 4 additional. That is a 2% increase, but again, pretty negligible. And then City of Menifee, a year ago, we saw 200 total listings pop up on the market. And over the last 30 days, we have seen 213. So a little bit bigger change. It is a 7% change, but it's just an additional 13 houses, more or less pretty flat line in the total number of new listings across all 3 cities. All right, so the next stat we're gonna talk about is the total number of active listings. And basically what this is, if I'm a home buyer and if I wanna buy a home in a given city, I wanna buy a home in Temecula, and I'm open to all price ranges, all sizes, I wanna see all available properties, how many are there for me to choose from, right? This is total number of active and available listings. And really, this is a huge change, in my opinion, from a year ago. And this is really following the same trend that we've seen. It's like the last 3 or 4 months now, but there's a heck of a lot more inventory this year than there was last year. So last year in the city of Temecula, there was a total of 299 available homes for sale. This year in Temecula, we're up to 388 available homes. So there's 89 more homes. That's a 30% increase, and that's pretty drastic. We've seen the same thing over the last couple months, and especially if you consider that we just talked about how many new listings are coming up, really it's exactly the same. So the flood of new listings has not changed. So the total number of new properties coming on the market is the same, but there's much more to choose from. So what does that mean? That means that the homes that have been listed over the last few months have not sold. So, and what we're seeing as real estate agents on a real estate team and at my brokerage is that the way the world is right now, right? I think it's fair to say that it's kind of a volatile world, right? There's all these things that are happening, in the national media, the interest rates are higher than they have been over the last couple of years, which makes affordability really tough. And what we found is there are home buyers that are out there for sure. Homes are definitely selling, and we'll talk about how quickly and for how much in just a minute. But with the way the affordability is and just the uncertainty out there, the buyers right now are very, very price sensitive. So if your home goes on the market and it's overpriced, they're gonna know. and they're not going to pay a premium over what the neighbor sold for. So pricing has been very flatlined over the last year or so, and it's affordability, right? It is, mortgage payments are high, when interest rates are high, it gives you a high mortgage payment, and everyone's kind of, inflation's happened, everything's expensive, right? Everyone's at a ceiling, and they're just not willing to go any further and pay more than what they've sold for recently. So those are the stats for Temecula. City of Murrieta, really same thing, actually a little bit worse as far as a little bit more available inventory. So a year ago, there was a total of 325 available homes for sale. This year, we're now up to 147. So that's, it's over 120, it's over 120 more homes for sale this year. That's a 37% increase. City of Menifee, a year ago, there's a total of 329 available homes, and this year we're at 486. So that's over 150 more homes this year than last year. That's a pretty big change. That's a 48% increase in Menifee. That's almost 50%. So that's a big difference. And but it's kind of interesting because as we get to the next stat, I think it'll be a little more clear. All right, so the next stat we're going to talk about is the average days on market. So basically this is just in a given city, how long is the average home taken to sell, right? And this is a great trend line to show, are we in a seller's market? Are we in a buyer's market? Exactly what's going on. And kind of what I was starting to get into at my last point is, even though there's more homes that are out there, homes are not taking necessarily that much longer to sell, and homes are still selling relatively quickly. So I'll get into the stats here. So City of Temecula, a year ago, the average home was selling about 25 days. This year, they're now averaging 27 days. So it's an extra 2-day increase, year over year. That's really pretty negligible. It does come out to 8%, but not much of a difference. City of Murrieta is kind of the one difference maker. We did see a pretty big change. So a year ago, the average home was selling in 33 days. The average home is now selling in 49 days. So that's a 48% increase. That's a big difference. It's a couple weeks longer now that that it's taking. And that is something to continue to watch as the inventory starts to change. So City of Menifee, a year ago, the average home was selling in 33 days. We are now selling in 41 days. So just another 8 days longer. Not as much of a needle mover there. But in general, when we're looking at these numbers, anything under 60 days is definitely still going to be considered a seller's market. I think we're really seeing more of a balanced market where nice homes that are priced well, that are well taken care of, are going to sell relatively quickly, and then homes that are overpriced, or maybe they're junky, need some work, or in undesirable areas, are going to sit. And I think that's what you're seeing with all that inventory that's starting to rack up, is that homes that are, if you're pushing the value too much, or if you haven't taken good care of it, it's not going to be as desirable, and it's going to sit. All right, so the last stat we're going to talk about is the average sales price for each city. And I guess I'll give you the info, but basically across the board, there really has not been any change in all three cities. They're pretty much par right across the board. So in the city of Temecula, a year ago, the average home was selling for $898,000. And this year in Temecula, the average home is now selling for $889,000. So it's a $9,000 decrease. It is 1%, but I think the sample size is so small, I don't think it's really a needle mover. Basically, pricing is flatlined. City Murrieta, a year ago, the average home was selling for $721,000. And this year, the average home is still selling for $721,000. So that's actually exactly the same across the board. City of Menifee, a year ago, the average home was selling for $571,000. This year, it's up to $574,000. So just a $3,000 increase. Again, basically just stagnant across the board. So it's an interesting market right now. It is, as we're seeing, there are homes that are being listed. It's about the same rate that we saw a year ago. But the homes that are available, more and more of them are starting to sit, and that's starting to pile up some inventory. So especially if you're overpriced. The average home is still selling in about 30 days or so. Murrieta's maybe a little bit longer, but less than a couple months for sure. And then price point is basically staying flat, exactly the same across the board. So it'll be interesting, as the world's continue to change, right? As all the just all the factors play out, all the tariffs and all these different things, the interest rates. It's just an interesting time to watch kind of what's going on. I can tell you, as real estate agents and our team, we've actually been super busy over the last couple months. I know that's maybe not the case all across the board, but right now, with just the way the market is, if a home's priced well, it's going to sell, and it definitely feels like there's a good amount of home buyers out there that want to live here and feel like it's a desirable area. So it's just I think it's an interesting market, and I think I felt that way for like the last 2 years now, but it's continues to change a little bit, and it'll be something to keep an eye on over the next few months for sure. So it'll be an interesting time over summer. Cool. Hopefully that's good information for you guys. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. You can call, you can text, you can email me. You can see my information down below, and hopefully talk to you soon. Thanks.